My guest today is Nicky Kaur, who spent over 2 decades as an entrepreneur before turning her focus to a cause very close to her heart. Her passion for standing up for those who can't has driven her to find and lead Chandigarh Spinal Rehab Center. Nicky embarked on this journey of faith to create a space that enhances the quality of life for people with spinal cord injuries and traumatic brain injuries. Under her leadership, the Chandigarh Spinal Rehab Center has become a unique model of rehabilitation in India. And I'm personally proud of her because I'm from Chandigarh and I think we need more people like her doing such amazing work. Very warm welcome to you, Nicky, and thank you for doing this conversation.
Thank you so much for having me on the show, Enma. This is a privilege and an honor, in fact.
Awesome. So you speak a lot about faith. So talk to us about this faith which made you start this and kept you going.
Enma, it is faith that helped me to start the project. It is faith that has brought us this far. And it is only and only complete trust, which I hold on to every single day of my life, which makes me certain that today this small center, which has just 30 beds, is going to grow into a center of excellence and empowerment for persons with disabilities. And it is only faith and trust that makes me hold on to this vision, like I held on to it 10 years ago. So why is it so important? Because when I started on this journey, I had pretty much nothing else. I am not a doctor. I am not a person who has a close association with spinal injury or brain injury because nobody in my family had it. I had no way of thinking ever in my life prior to 12 years from now that I would ever open up a medical center. And yet, when I asked God the question of what is the purpose of my life, and I found myself propelled in this direction, there was only faith that I had to hold on to. The naysayers kept saying, you don't have what is required to start this project and take it on. But that little voice inside kept saying, you're meant to do it, go ahead. And I felt when nothing was there, the faith was there. And there's a saying in Punjabi that we do, us babe di chakri. So I always say that is what I'm doing, serving the master. And I know who's the boss. It's not me. I am given the role and title of founder and CEO. But I unfailingly know that the boss is the big masters themselves. And I am just executing my duty. So that is why in the darkest of times, it is that faith which I've held on to. And this project saw the light of day.
Beautiful. How will you describe your childhood? And in what ways do you think it played a role in shaping the person you've become?
All right. So I had wonderful parents, a very supporting family, and I was educated in a small town in West Bengal in India, which is called Asansol. My father was in the coal fields, but our schooling was in the best school in the region, which was the Loreto Convent, and we were educated by the nuns at that time. So our diction, our education was very good. And in fact, sometimes I think the youngsters of today don't have that quality of education which we enjoyed in our times. And my wonderful father always encouraged me to become a woman of substance. And he was very proud of me. So somewhere that gave me the confidence to blossom and become an individual who had her own mind.
So how did that journey evolve then?
So marriage came rather early in life. And in fact, I'm a CEO with hardly any credentials to my name when it comes to education. So I was married in Amritsar, and it was a very loving family. And I was running a bakery come fast food in Amritsar. But that restlessness came up after my elder daughter got married. You know, there's something so beautiful about daughters. They become so much a part of you, not just your life, that when they are gone, because in India, I'm sure you will understand that when the daughters get married, they've flown the nest. They are on their own journey. Mm-hmm. And there was a huge void. And there was this inner restlessness. So I learned meditation, and I would keep meditating and praying and asking God for the purpose of my life. And it was a query which was obsessive in me. And I said, I'm not going to end my life baking cakes. There has to be more substance to this life. And then people with spinal cord injury came into my orbit, and I realized their plight. I realized that India had not even a handful of rehabilitation centers at that time, and very few where the poorest of poorest could go and get the same treatment as the haves. So there was a young man who would come to our bakery. He was very fond of food, but he was a quadriplegic. So he used to come in his car with a high roof because he used to come in his wheelchair, and he would not come down. So he would ask me to come to the car to tell him what's new and what's exciting. And I got kind of friendly with him. And that's when I realized how difficult his life was and how helpless a quadriplegic is. So, paraplegia is not a condition which is by birth. It is a condition that happens post trauma, post an accident, a road accident, a fall from a height, or any such thing. So, where the spinal cord breaks, below that, the person gets paralyzed because no sensory messages can be transported to the rest of the body. The connection is cut. And therefore, we say paraplegia because once it breaks from maybe the waist side, then the two limbs or the lower limbs are paralyzed. And if it breaks from the neck region, then it's quadriplegia because all floor limbs get compromised. And after a spinal cord injury, there is no muscle sensation and no skin sensation. So that bowel and bladder management cannot be done effectively by themselves. So that means they are dependent on a caregiver. So it is a multi-disability actually. We look at them on the wheelchair and think that that's the biggest of their woes. It's not the biggest. It is just one of the many woes that accompany their journey. And it's an endless battle. And so this is how, when I met Manmeet, my friend in Amritsar, and I understood the nature of their problem, and I realized we need to make a home in our country because there is no place where they can go and live a life of dignity if they have no family support. So this is actually part of my long-term vision, to create the center of excellence, which also houses a hostel for people with such injuries, and they can come and live a life of dignity, work on campus, work outside of campus, and know that they are safe, they are cared for, they're loved and supported. And then once I realized that this is what I have to do, then I went to the Indian Spinal Injuries Center in Delhi, where Major Ahluwalia was very supportive, who was the founder of that institute. Then after that, went to CMC Vellore and traveled to Pune, Kirki. These were the main other centers for spinal injuries. And I learned a lot from every place I went to. And then started the center.
My God. Share with us some of the challenges you encountered and how did you navigate them?
Okay, so my first challenge was with Manmeet himself, because Manmeet was the son of an army officer, and he wanted to start a center for people where like-minded people could come and stay. But I said then also that the people who would need a center like this would be the poor and the ones who can't afford a place like that. And they can even afford caretakers. So we must have a center which embraces all. So I was having my issues with explaining that to him. But other than that, we needed to find people and make a trust. I had nobody who would support my vision because they thought, this woman has gone nuts. And she's talking about something of which she has no knowledge, no experience. But she says she's going to start this center, which was very ambitious at that time. So nobody was ready to even trust my vision. But I managed. I got my daughter in, I got somebody else in, and managed to get 6-7 people together and register the trust in Amritsar. And then came the next challenge, was where to open it. I searched in Amritsar, couldn't find any place. And then one fine day, my niece and her husband were talking about a place that they were seeing in Chandigar for a school she was considering opening. but they left it for some odd reason. But they introduced me to the person who was a trustee in that place. And when I had spoke to him about our project, they said, okay, we'll give you the place you want, but how will you pay the rent? So I said, I don't know. At the moment, I don't know. But trust me, I know that the master of this project has all the wherewithal. And I just request you to please trust me. We will never let you down. We will pay our rents, maybe late sometimes, but we will pay. And our intentions are honorable. Please allow us to make this. Then they said, then whatever money is required to do up the place is going to be yours. We said, all right, so be it. And we had to get the resources to start building up the place. We needed 18 JCBs to take out the rubble and clean the place, and then created a garden outside, created the infrastructure inside, the rooms, the wards, the therapy hall, all of it slowly started taking shape. And we were ready to roll on. And then came the team, the professional team, the therapists, the nurses. And we had one fantastic person who was a tremendous mentor to me. His name was Mr. S. Vaidyanathan. He was from IIM Bangalore. And he himself was on the wheelchair, but a phenomenon. He was smarter than most men I've ever come across. And because he had the experience of being on the wheelchair and with spinal cord injury, and because he was an IIM alumni, and he was in CMC Vellore a lot of the time, he respected the doctors there. So he helped me to get the staff from there, because he always told me, your strength has to be your team, because they are the ones who have to deliver the outcomes. So you have to handpick the team. And I have to say, full thanks to Vaidi. We all lovingly called him Vaidi. And most of the team, I'm so happy to say, are still with us today, even after all these years. So there were challenges at every step of the way, but they were playing their role and we were moving our own journey.
Like you said, Nikki, that people thought she's gone crazy, right? And I think often while we love our family, I think, sometimes families can also create.
Also because I guess family sometimes is concerned that she shouldn't make a fool of herself. And sometimes they know that the odds are heavily against her. I remember my father-in-law saying, "Agar seva karni hai, then you do something like setting up an old people's home or something, which is easier." But difficult or easy was not something I was even looking at. I was not looking at the challenges, however daunting they be, and they were. And many times they were so big that they really shook me up. But like I said, that one big word in my life, the trust factor, was bigger than all of that. And the naysayers kept saying, it cannot happen, it cannot happen, you can't do it, you can't do it. Then there were people who were telling me, you are trying to arrange for funds. What about your funding? I said, I'm giving my life for my project and whatever I am. I'm not taking anything from anybody else. And they said, then you can't do it. Okay, I'll hear you. I'll go and weep a couple of tears in the quiet of my room, but then I will get back there and move on. One step in time, one step in time. And we did it.
So besides the quiet of the room, who else was your safe space, your sounding board?
My children were phenomenal. They were unconditionally supportive. My husband, you can understand, for anybody at this age of life, I mean, when your wife chooses to go and follow her dream and her heart, and suddenly you wonder what the hell is happening with her, what's happening to our lives, you tend to get a little lost. So I can completely understand that he was bewildered. What the hell is happening? But he didn't stop me from following my dream. So I'm so grateful for that. But if you're looking at the sounding board of the past, it was my children. If you talk about my sounding board of the present, it is my team.
On a lighter note, there must have been so much of murmur about what happened.
Yeah. Speculation rife everywhere. Yeah, pata nahi, what is it? Maybe the marriage has gone for a 6, ghar chhod ke aa gayi, whatever. But I was going home the weekends, and for me it was very clear. I hadn't left, but I had to follow my thing. And that is very difficult to explain to anybody. But it's also very, very difficult for any woman to leave her comfort zone and to be so bold as to start something completely different, completely new, and stand up for her vision and her dreams. Trust me, it's nice after so many years to talk on a podcast that, okay, I was bold and brave. But at that time, you pay a price for it because people, even the ones who you think are good friends, will go, uh, whispering into each other's ears and even into my own husband's ears. I mean, they can't understand that why should she even choose to move out? That means the marriage is falling apart. And I'm happy to say that I'm still very much married and we made our peace with the situation.
Did you feel compelled to justify it? Because I think that's what, a lot of times stops women, especially from staying on the course.
So I had to make a success of what I was doing.
Yeah.
I felt that the country really needed it. And it's a cause which requires 100% commitment because so many lives which are depending on you. And running an organization when you don't have the financial resources required, you don't have the medical knowledge required, you don't have the education, and you don't have the networking that required. What did I have? Except for that dream and the passion and that trust that what I was doing was right and I needed to do it. And I did not try to validate myself to anybody, nobody. For me, if my children and my children's now extended families, because they are all married, if they understand, brilliant. But other than that, society at large, I'm not answerable to because I don't even feel it's important. And I am very aware in my journey that some people will say, oh, wow, oh, she's God, she's this, she's the ultimate, she's all that big, big thing. And the next minute they will say, she's a con woman. Why the hell is she doing it? All these were thrown at me. She doesn't have spinal cord injury. What is her motive behind making this? So I had all kinds of things thrown at me. So they come to the point, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's their story. It's not mine. I don't need validation for myself. It's okay. And if you think that I'm a pile of rubbish, that's fine. If you think I'm somebody holier than thou, it's also fine. So I did not feel the need to explain myself because you can't. You can't. You really can't explain anything to the society. They will sit on the judgment chair. It's okay.
Yeah.
I had to do and follow my path. I'm answerable for my life. And that's it.
Thank you for sharing this, Nikki. This part of the conversation will resonate with so many women because that's the fight always. What will people say?
Yeah. And when your inner knowing tells you something, go for it because that's the voice of God.
Yeah.
Just like they say, when you really love somebody, you just say, I'm in love with this person. You will find time for that person. You will do everything for that person because it's love.
Beautiful.
And it is. And it's such a pleasure when I see your podcast and see the amazing work so many women are doing and makes me feel very humble and small. But at the same time, I say kudos to everyone because each and every one of them has carved their journey, literally. It's not been handed on a platter for most.
Not at all. Let's shift gears and talk about your mission and your purpose, right? And you've shared that wheelchair users often face sympathy rather than recognition of their abilities. So how are you working to change that mindset?
I've changed the word sympathy to the word pity because they pity them. And they will say, the Indian word is, oh, bichara. Bichara is the poor chap. And I have never related to that. And I've always felt that these guys are superheroes. If I had to live with the kind of challenges that they have to live with, I wonder if I would be so phenomenal as they are. Because when I see the challenges in their bodies, the financial challenges, the social challenges, marriage, sex are very important to every young man out there, more than the girls. And when they realize that they are not able to take relationships forward and marriage doesn't seem to be on the radar for them, a lot of them are coping with their own demons inside of them. So it's not just about your physical condition and being on the wheelchair. They're grappling so many multiple issues at the same time. So we have now taken on this journey to help them to find the heroes within themselves. When they come to Chandigarh Spinal Rehab, we ask them, what is your dream? And we want to help each one to find a life of their dreams. You would be happy to know that 80.4% of our people have moved on to productive lives. And when they came to us, most of them were on the verge of suicide or wanting to end their lives and feeling completely dejected. So that transition from that space to this space of empowerment, where they can go back and live a life of productivity and purpose in life. In fact, one of our young men went for graduation to Texas, and he did his graduation there after rehab from our center.
Wow.
And we have 5, 6 who went on to the IIMs, and so many have opened shops of their own. Many women have gone back to their own housework. Many girls have gone back to working productive lives. And that is the journey where we drop the bicharapan. They also drop it for themselves. They don't look at themselves as a victim all the time. And if we don't want the society to say, poor chap, then we don't want them also to be harping on the poor me story. So we tell them, oh, hello, there's so much you can do. And we expose them to a world of possibilities. And the camaraderie, the strength, the positivity on campus is what I think helps them on their onward journey. So it is, like I said, the team and the entire energy on campus, which is the catalyst for change.
I absolutely love this. What's your dream? Because I can't even imagine anybody would have even asked them that question because they are just dealing with that current challenge or that, that misery, right? And how do we change the mindsets of the onlookers?
When they see the success stories, when they look at them, that's why we tell people, come to our center. And I would like to invite you also. Because it's a different thing when we talk. And when you see them, look at our website, look at our social media platforms, look at our people, and you see the success stories and you see the lives they're living. Phenomenal. What heroes in every field, be it music, be it in their professional lives, be it in sports, so many areas. And they are real lighthouses and a huge inspiration for others. So then automatically you start respecting them and there's no word of pity, and nor do they like it. That poor me chapter is over with them. They also look at achievements and they're also pushing their targets. They're as human as the next person who might not be on a wheelchair. The human energy is the same.
I know it's a very difficult question. I can see the passion which you bring in the conversation, but share with me a few impact stories.
Honestly, this is the most difficult question for me because it's an everyday process. Every day we see them, and each one comes with a story untold. And we're so proud of them. And to narrate, I would really beg all my people for their forgiveness because I can't mention each one's name here. But that doesn't mean anyone is lesser a hero and an achiever than the others. Each one who has gone out and made their lives has been tremendous. There is one guy who stands out in my mind at this point in time. His name is Tapeshwar. This guy came with his wife in the middle, just at the onset of COVID times. They're very poor people from a village called Darbhanga. And he hadn't had a bath in maybe a year. And when they came here and they saw this is not a government place, they thought we'll have to go back. So how do we manage? But then we said, we'll handle you. Didn't even have clothes. She came with a bundle of scraps of cloth for his dressings and things like that. So the first thing that I had to do, we get him to have a bath. And then we got clothes for them and then started their rehab journey. And after their rehab, which was completely free of course, needless to say, he was given a wheelchair and they progressed very well. And she, more than about her children, she used to worry about her goats. Because she said, Meri bakri ka kya hal ho?
Oh, sweet.
So sweet. But when they went back from here, he opened up a small shop in his village and he's earning enough to provide for his children and to take care of them. And the fact that this man had no hope in life And this woman, she found her husband. And when he would get ready, she used to very shyly say, "Itne sundar lag rahe hai na?" So beautiful, to see that this family was resurrected. And he started this pawn shop. Then we have this lovely young girl, Vidya, who came to us from a village in Samastipur, Bihar again. And she had her nasty pressure ulcer. But her father wasn't bringing her. She was one of 6 children, poverty in extreme. And once he got her here, and he left her the next day and went off. And he said, whatever happens to her, we can't help it. I don't have time and I have to go back to my family. And he just went off. But this girl has blossomed so beautifully, thanks to the Rotary and your lovely mother and the team there. We managed to get her surgery done. And then once again, we knocked on their door. Then they gave a Roho cushion for her because she kept having pressure ulcers. So they were very closely a part of her journey. And then this girl moved on towards sports and also livelihood because she wanted to earn. And she is the first Swiggy girl in the country.
Wow.
So a girl on wheels who was doing Swiggy delivery, but she continues to live in our center. And then we moved her and coached her for table tennis. And she has moved on nationally and internationally to gain laurels for the country. And just 2 months ago, she got the silver medal for India in an open championship in Thailand.
What about her father? Does he come back now and check on her?
No, she went back. She refused to go till she would start working or till she had made her life. Many times I told her. So one day on her birthday, she says, "Don't ever tell me that you will send me back home.
Oh.
You say anything to me, do anything with me, but don't tell me you will send me back." So that was a promise she took from me on her birthday.
Oh.
So now when she goes back home, she goes as a hero.
Wow.
And now the whole village looks up to her with, wow. She's flying the world. She goes in the aeroplane. She's on the news channel. And what a story and what a success.
I was just wondering, given the gravity of the situation and the number of individuals with these disabilities, are you at a point when there are too many and you can't serve all of them?
Yeah, waiting little very long.
Oh, God.
We have to keep juggling because the beds that we have are limited and the demand is very high.
So how do you then deal with this? It is so hard to say no to people.
It is, but this is a challenge that we are facing for the last couple of years, actually. And like I said, I definitely believe that sooner rather than later, we will be starting a center of excellence and empowerment for persons with disability. The vision is in my mind. The architect we have already finalized. The plans are already there, but only the land is not there. So we don't have the adequate funds required to set up that center. But you know what? I believe that when we find the right people to see the work that we are doing, money will come.
100%.
Today, I feel limited because I feel I don't have access or connections, or my networking is not strong enough. My social media presence is negligible personally. And these are, again, all the challenges that we talk about. But I feel that when the time is right, the funds will also be made available.
I want to talk about your leadership style.
Honestly, I don't know what leadership is all about. I have just been myself. And I can't thank my team enough. And it is the laughter that resonates everywhere in our place. Even when the people come into the therapy hall depressed, they also start cracking jokes. Everywhere there is camaraderie. It's a tremendous team. And it filters right from top to bottom and bottom to top. I feel tremendous gratitude to my team for this, particularly in our office. I would say Tejinder, who's my right hand, my strength, my confidant. She came in as an admin member. Today she's the admin head. So while in the past, my sounding board would be my children, in the present, it is definitely Tejinder and my office team.
So given the vision that you have, creating the center of excellence, right? Nicky cannot be everywhere,
True.
right? So, how have you made sure that you are being able to create that culture where everyone is positive, everyone is happy, everyone is purpose driven, right?
Okay, I will answer that.
Mm.
For the last year or so, I have been very aware that we are moving towards this bigger center. So I have started a very subtle shift, which I have never discussed verbally with my team, where I am staying away from the campus quite a bit to give more autonomy to them.
Mhm.
Because it cannot be a one woman driven organization going forward. There has to be more responsibility and there has to be more awareness of the project per se. You know, what our challenges are, what the financials are, what the requirements are, where are we failing. It is more of shared responsibility.
Mm.
And I am stepping back a little bit. I'm there and yet a bit of a step back.
And therefore, how are you ensuring that camaraderie and care is at the heart of every conversation at the Chandigarh Spinal Rehab Center?
When we have our meetings, we talk about them.
Hmm.
We connect very often. You will be surprised at the number of parties that happen at Chandigarh Spinal.
Hmm.
Tomorrow is Janmashtami. I mean, whenever there is any occasion for a party, it's a party.
I love it.
So every week there will be at least 2-3 celebrations for some odd reason or the other. So one of our girls won the gold medal for Bosha last. So we celebrate everything. We're celebrating life. So all these things filter right from the top to the bottom, to the patient, to the caregiver, to the support staff, to the Mali, and everybody. And laughter is very, very important. It bids goodbye to so many woes without you consciously having to deal with them.
Love it. So I want to talk about Flowing Karma, your band on wheels. And I remember my mom telling me that at your daughter's wedding, they had come and performed, right? So I'm just wondering what's the story behind the band and what's your vision for the band?
All right. So there was one young man, 30 years old, coming from Guwahati, and he calls me and he wanted to come for rehabilitation. I've heard a lot about your center. I said, sure. And his last question was, ma'am, I just have a request. Would you allow me to please bring my guitar with me? I said, I would request you to please bring it. We would welcome you with your guitar because this would add more to the joy in the air. So he comes with it. Then when his rehab was over, he didn't want to go back. He's from Assam. He didn't want to go back because he said, I will go back into that rut. And again, those people will come sympathizing and I don't want to go back from here. And he was going through his own emotional catharsis. And that's when I asked him, what can I do for you? And what is your dream? Again, the same big question. What is your dream? And he said, my dream is music. Music is me and I'm music. I love music. I can't think beyond music. So I said, okay, give me some time to think. And then I thought that to give this guy a new lease on life, he needs to be purpose driven and he needs to find joy back in his life. So then I said, okay, let's create a band which would support him. But we did not know who and how. So we had one young man who used to sing when we used to have these Antakshari programs in the center when they used to sing. And we said, okay, so he has a good voice. Let's take him on as the vocalist. And then one of the guys said he used to play the drums in school. So we said, okay, let's get him to play the drums here. And then we got somebody to play the chimes and created the band. And then Pradeep is the name of the founder of the band. And then we got them all together and then started this band and we called it the Flowing Karma. And why the name? Because it is karma, we believe, that got them into this condition, right? And now let the karma flow on positively to create a new beginning for them. And karma flows from up to down, down to up and takes them with it. And it flows and they flow with the karma that now they are creating of positivity and of joy. And then the governor also invited them to the Raj Bhavan to perform there on Republic Day. But tragedy and challenges struck here too. When during COVID, Pradeep went home to Assam for a wedding. And he lost his life to COVID. So the backbone of the group lost his life. And then it was again a question of it disintegrating. But then a young chap from the Punjab University, he plays the guitar very well. He said, I will come and practice with them. So the group came alive again. And now one young man from Manali, he plays the guitar. So they go to various places. They performed in Goa last year, and they go all places to perform. Their achievements in the field of sports, in this field of music, and every area of their lives. So when you look at these people, where is the room for pity?
Yeah, no, not.
You just salute them and salute their spirits and feel so proud of their journey.
And puts our life in perspective, right? So, Nikki, before we end the conversation, with the wisdom of hindsight, what advice would you give to your younger self?
All right. I would say stay focused, stay patient, and know that this journey is not going to happen overnight. There will be hurdles. Everything will happen in its own time. Hold on to your faith and just take one step in time and give it your all. Give it all the love you're capable of. Give it all the dedication you're capable of. And one step in time, we will see the vision unfolding magically in its own way.
Thank you very much again, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in person when I come to India.
Thank you so much, and looking forward to your coming to our center and meeting everybody personally now.
Absolutely. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the episode, do hang on for just one more minute. I have a request for you. If you haven't already, please subscribe to Atlanta Diaries on Spotify, iTunes, or whichever platform you follow. Do join us in our mission to empower and inspire by sharing the podcast with a friend or colleague. It will be great if you can share on the social media platforms you follow, be it LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, or any other. Please leave a review or rating on iTunes or Spotify. It really helps us reach a wider audience. Lastly, I wanted to share with you that many of my coaching clients and listeners have created a cheat sheet with their key takeaways from the episodes. I invite you to consider jotting down one or two key takeaways as you navigate your amazing journey. Have a wonderful rest of the day and see you next week for another inspiring journey on Atlanta Diaries.